Campaign we have launches on March 14th, and this one's called Oak, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. And this is a Euro game where each player is going to be a leader of their own druid order, and each player is competing for the most victory points so that they can prove themselves as the most worthy to the spirit of the forest. And this is a game where players will be starting out with a small insignificant tribe, but they'll be growing it throughout the game and gain access to new abilities and more ways to gain victory points. The game offers a ton of different paths to victory, and if you are smart with your actions, there's a lot of opportunity to chain your actions together into some really powerful turns. Throughout the game, players will be recruiting different creatures of the forest for help, learning powerful spells, discovering mighty artifacts, and creating new sacred places where they can house and grow their flock of druids. The game plays over 5 rounds on a central board, but players will each have their own asymmetrical player boards as well, and players will be performing actions both on their player boards as well as the central board. And there's 2 types of actions in the game. There's the more powerful active actions that you'll be using workers from your player board in order to perform, and then there's the passive actions that you'll be using your meeples on the main board for. And in order to perform these different actions, you're going to have to meet a few different criteria. First of all, you're going to need to play a worker there, and more importantly, you're going to have to play the appropriate worker. Some spaces can accept any worker, while some might require a certain type, and you can upgrade your workers throughout the game to give them some special abilities. And some of the special benefits for these different upgraded druids is to pay a lower cost to perform an action, add a new upgrade space to your board, pay less ingredients for potions, or can use a space that is already used by another meeple, or even visit spaces that are off limits to all other meeples. And a really fun thing about upgrading your meeples is not only do they get access to some special abilities, but you'll also be getting a really cool piece of clothing that you'll be able to put on that meeple to indicate that they have been upgraded. And these are all shown in this image here, and they're made of a stretchy plastic, which makes it really easy to put onto the meeples. Also, in order to play your actions, you're going to be using your hand of cards, and each card is multi-use. There's going to be 3 parts to each card. The top indicates a location, and each location is going to have 3 different spaces that players can put their worker on, and each one's going to have a different cost and a different benefit for doing so. Most of the spaces you can only have 1 worker, unless of course you've upgraded a worker that is able to break that rule. And these are the spaces where you're going to be doing your more powerful active actions. Alternatively, you can use the card to play a passive action, and in that case you'll be playing the bottom of the card, which will allow you to move one of your meeples up into the central tree on the board. And this tree has multiple paths with different benefits and victory points that you'll gain by moving through those different branches. And this is a bit of a race because whoever reaches the end of a path first is going to get the special benefit that offers. And throughout these different actions, players can gain things like creature cards, which are going to allow them to perform some one-time or ongoing abilities, or gain some different monoliths or shrines where they can put workers to gain more victory points or other resources, and these are actually going to upgrade your player board. Or they can gain special artifacts, which actually slot into the side of your player board, and each time you put a worker there, it's going to rotate 1 notch until you fully completed it, and you can get the benefit that it offers, and that will open up a space for another artifact. There's also a bit of set collection where players can create different potions for different effects and bonuses. So you can start to see how there's a lot of really neat mechanisms baked into this game, and a lot of things that I haven't seen before in other Euro games. And players will be playing this game, taking turns performing different actions until all players have passed, and then that ends the round and there's a bit of a cleanup phase, and then that repeats, and then after 5 rounds, the player with the most victory points wins the game. Definitely one worth checking out, especially if you love Euro games, and if this one does interest you, I have links to this campaign and all the others that I'm going to mention in the description below, and you'll definitely want to follow along because it'll get you some free sleeves added to your pledge.